The Fall of Bucky, Chapter 6, The First Step into Shadows. The roads beyond Hollowbrook led Bucky into towns where no one knew his name. Places harsher, hungrier, where kindness was a forgotten language. In these towns, survival wasn't about hope, it was about strength. And strength came in many forms. A clenched fist, a sharp blade, or a well-placed lie. Bucky watched, silent at first, how men bent beneath threats and how crowds obeyed those who inspired fear. It struck him. What he had tried to win through love could be taken far more easily through power. It began small. One night at a crowded tavern, a group of older men mocked a boy no older than 13, cornering him, stealing his coins. The boy pleaded, but no one stepped in. Bucky rose. "Leave him," he said. His voice was calm, but the weight behind it silenced the room. The men laughed. "And who are you, boy?" Bucky didn't answer with words. He strode to their table, seized a mug, and slammed it against the wood so hard it shattered. The sharp edge pressed against the leader's throat before the man could even react. "Leave him," Bucky repeated, his eyes cold as stone. The man froze. Around them, the tavern held its breath. Finally, the bullies backed off, muttering curses as they stumbled into the night. The boy stared at Bucky with wide eyes. "Thank you. I thought they were going to—" "Don't thank me," Bucky cut him off. "Remember how quickly they gave in. Fear controls faster than love ever could. If you want to survive, learn that." The boy nodded, trembling, and ran. Bucky sat back down, the broken mug still in his hand. His heart did not race. His hands did not shake. Instead, a grim calm filled him. It had been easy, too easy, and in that moment, Bucky realized something dangerous. People feared pain more than they trusted love. Fear bent them quickly, decisively, without question. That night, lying awake in a cheap inn, he whispered to himself, "So this is power." The boy who once fixed toys and promised never to let go had taken his first step into shadows. And unlike love, shadows answered back. The Fall of Bucky, Chapter 7. The boy who would save the world. Months passed since Bucky left Hollowbrook. The roads hardened him, shaping his resolve. He had learned how to read people, their fears, their weaknesses, their desperate need to follow someone stronger than themselves. Once people had whispered his name with hope. Now in towns far from home, they whispered with uncertainty. "He stopped the raiders last night." "Yeah, but did you see how he did it? Brutal, like he enjoyed it. They say he's building something, a following." And it was true. The boy from the tavern, the one Bucky had once saved, had not run away after all. He returned, wide-eyed and trembling, asking to stay. "Teach me, I want to be strong like you." Others followed. Orphans, beggars, outcasts, people who had nothing left but fear. And fear, Bucky had learned, was something he could shape into loyalty. He did not ask for their love. He demanded their obedience, and they gave it. One evening, as they gathered around a fire in the ruins of an abandoned barn, one of the followers asked him, "What are we, Bucky? Are we thieves? Are we rebels?" Bucky looked into the flames, his face carved by shadows. "No," he said, "we are the future. The world is broken. I tried to fix it with love, and it spat in my face. Now I will fix it with power, and nothing will stand in my way." The fire crackled, throwing sparks into the night. His followers bowed their heads, whether out of devotion or fear, he didn't care. Word spread quickly. Villages whispered about the boy who once carried hope, but now carried something far more dangerous. When he finally returned near Hollowbrook, just long enough for the people to see the hardened expression on his face and the armed men at his side, the whispers grew louder. "That's Bucky, our Bucky. No, that can't be him. He was supposed to save us. He still thinks he is, but not the way we wanted." And so the name of Bucky, once a beacon of hope, began to darken. The boy who had saved the world was becoming the man who would rule it. The Fall of Bucky. Chapter 8. The Empire of Fear. What began with a handful of outcasts grew into dozens, then hundreds. They came from everywhere. Broken men with scars from wars they never won. Women who had been abandoned by the laws of kings. Children who had nothing left but anger. And Bucky welcomed them, not with kindness, but with purpose. "You are forgotten," he told them one night as they gathered in the shadow of a ruined fortress. His voice carried over the crackling fire, sharp and commanding. "The world cast you aside, but I do not see trash, I see strength. Together we will build something no one can ignore." The crowd roared, some with hope, many with fear. It did not matter which, it bound them to him all the same. Bucky trained them ruthlessly. He taught them how to fight, how to endure, how to silence their pity and sharpen their rage. The boy who once fixed toys for children now broke men into weapons, and they followed him. One night, when a corrupt noble lord refused to feed his starving peasants, Bucky led his followers into the man's estate. The gates fell within an hour. The noble begged for mercy. The Bucky of old might have offered it, this Bucky did not. "Mercy," he said coldly, standing over the trembling man, "is what broke this world." The noble was dragged away. His food stores were seized, his wealth stripped, and his estate turned into a command post. The peasants were fed, but not freely. They were fed in exchange for loyalty. Fear worked faster than love ever had. Soon villages raised banners in his name, not out of adoration, but out of survival. His symbol, a black flame encircled by iron, was painted on walls, carved into shields, burned into the memory of every soul who resisted him. And so the whispers spread beyond Hollowbrook, across valleys, over rivers, through courts and castles. There is a man they call Bucky. They say he commands an army of the forgotten. They say he does not conquer with promises, but with fear. The empire he had once dreamed of building with love was now being forged in terror, and though he told himself it was for the greater good, deep in the quiet of night, Bucky sometimes wondered if there was anything left of the boy who once promised never to let go. The fall of Bucky, Chapter 9. The Broken Crown winter came harsh that year. Snow blanketed the valleys, rivers froze and famine clawed at the land. While kings and nobles feasted behind stone walls, the common people starved. It was the perfect season for Bucky to rise higher. His army, once a band of outcasts, now moved like a tide. They wore black armor marked with the flame and iron sigil. Their discipline shocked seasoned soldiers. They marched not for love, not for glory, but because disobedience meant death. The first kingdom to fall was Kelmar. Its king sat on a gilded throne, sneering at reports of the rebel boy. "He's nothing but a child with thieves for soldiers," the king scoffed. "My army will scatter them like rats." But when Kelmar's forces clashed with Bucky's, the opposite happened. The king's soldiers fought for wages. Bucky's fought for survival, for vengeance, for the iron grip of their master. By dawn, Kelmar's banners burned. By dusk, the king was dragged before Bucky, chained and beaten. "You're the boy who thought love could save the world," the king spat, bloodied lips curling. "Now you're just a tyrant." Bucky stared at him in silence, then leaned close. "No," he said softly, "I am the cure. The world doesn't need love, it needs order." The king was executed that night. His crown, once a symbol of heritage, was split in half by Bucky's sword and thrown into the fire. From then on, rulers trembled at his name. Some fled their thrones before his armies even arrived, abandoning their people to his rule. Others bent the knee, swearing fealty to avoid the fate of Kelmar. Still, some resisted. They called him a monster, a usurper, a villain, and Bucky embraced it. In council with his generals, he declared, "Let them call me villain. History will not remember their fear. It will remember my rule." The boy who once dreamed of fixing broken toys and mending hearts now broke crowns as though they were nothing more than fragile glass. And with each throne that fell, the line between savior and conqueror vanished completely. Bucky was no longer the boy who wanted to save the world. He was the man reshaping it in his own image. The Fall of Bucky, Chapter 10. The name in shadows years passed. The boy named Bucky became a story parents whispered to their children at night, not as comfort, but as warning. Behave or the Shadow King will come for you. They say he can see into your heart. If he finds weakness, he'll take it from you. His armies are endless, his word is law. His empire stretched across valleys, mountains, and seas. Where once there had been borders and kingdoms, there was now one unbroken dominion under his iron sigil, the flame and the circle of steel. Bucky no longer rode into battle with his men. He didn't need to. The fear of his presence was enough to shatter morale before a single blade clashed. His generals carried out his will, and his spies spread terror with whispers alone. At his seat of power, a fortress carved into black stone cliffs, he ruled with precision. Petitions were brought before him. Rebels were dragged in chains to kneel at his feet. One prisoner, a scholar, dared to raise his voice. "You were Bucky once," the man said, defiant despite his broken body. "The boy who loved too much. The boy who wanted to save the world. Do you even remember him?" Bucky's gaze, sharp and cold, cut through him. "I remember him," he said quietly. "He was weak, he believed in lies. I killed him myself." The court fell silent. Even his generals did not meet his eyes. The world no longer saw Bucky, the boy. They saw only the shadow he had become. His name was no longer spoken with affection or admiration. It was spoken with dread, with reverence, with fear. Bucky. The name itself had become a weapon, sharper than any sword, heavier than any crown. And in the darkness of his fortress, when no one else was watching, Bucky would sometimes whisper his own name, not as the villain the world knew, but as the boy he had been. The sound felt foreign, fragile, like a ghost. And he wondered if anyone, anywhere, still remembered that he was once human.